But hey, Facebook family, YouTube family, looks like we should be live now, and just wanted to bring a word of encouragement to you today. How are you doing? How are you really doing? I mean, you can make comments, you could make a post, but how are you doing right now? You know, we're a week or so into this craziness, this new kind of style of living, and I know it can be hard. And that's why I wanted to talk to you today about your peace. Um, I think I took a shower today. What day is it? One of these days is a shower day. You get lost in the craziness of what's going on. It really has been different for not just some of us, but for all of us. And that's the thing about the situation that we find ourselves in now. It's the same across the board. And so I just wanted to share a story with you today from the Bible, one of my favorite books of the Bible, John, about your peace. It's a story that happens after the resurrection in John chapter 20. And Jesus is speaking to the disciples. And Thomas, we mostly know him as Doubting Thomas, plays a huge part in this story. But I think that Thomas is you and Thomas is me. At certain points, man, we just kind of like doubt, man, what's going on, man? Are we ever going to get out of this? And so there's a great story for us today. There's a great reminder for us today in the story in John chapter 20. And so the first thing that we see in John chapter 20 is these words from Jesus: peace be with you. Man, can anybody receive that today? Peace be with you. I'll take some of that, Jesus. But see, here's the thing that I love about Jesus, man. He's a kind of a funny guy. Man, if you don't really believe that, let's just open up his word and we'll kind of see what's happening here, because here's the evening of the first day of the week and the doors were being locked. Why were the doors locked? The doors were locked because the Jews were fearful. The disciples were fearful of the Jews. They just crucified Jesus. And inside this meeting room, behind a locked door, there's Jesus. And Jesus isn't like, hey guys, look over here. Here I am. Hey guys. Surprise. No, the first thing Jesus says is peace be with you. The disciples were fearful. And Jesus says, yeah, but you don't yet understand. Like, check this out. I'm going to say it to you again. Peace be with you. As the Father has sent me, so I am sending you. Man, if you have a relationship with Jesus Christ, I want to assure you of one thing right now. You do not have a spirit of fear. You have a spirit of boldness and courage, and God is sending you for a time such as this. Reach out to your neighbors. Reach out to your family. Reach out to your church community. Man, would you do me a favor today? Would you call 5 different people from your church? 5 different people. I know that we all meet on Sundays, but this is a time to connect outside the walls of the church. So there's Jesus saying again, peace be with you. I love the story, man. See, Thomas isn't in the room. And so this is where we get this doubting Thomas. He says, I won't believe until I put my hand in his wound, until I put my finger in his side. But you know what, man? I love Thomas, man. I love his raw devotion and courage, man. He ain't just taking the church's word for it. Man, he ain't taking his grandpappy's word for it. He ain't riding his parents' coattails into the kingdom. He says, no, man, but as for me, I want to see and I want to believe. So here we are then in verse 26, wrapping this up here. 8 days after the resurrection, 8 days, there's Jesus in the room again. This time, though, Thomas is with him. And again, the doors were locked, and Jesus came and stood among them and said, come on, you know what he's going to say. Peace be with you. And then he said to Thomas, put your finger here and see my hands, and put out your hand and place it in my side. Do not disbelieve, but believe. Man, that is a good word. You see, Thomas was a loyal disciple to Jesus Christ. Man, he even went to the cross with him. But he wanted to see and not just believe. God affirmed to Abraham back in the Old Testament to fear not. And Jesus comes in the New Testament and he speaks to the hearts and minds of you and me, and he says, peace be with you. So during these times, would you lean in when you find yourself being a little fearful? When you find yourself being a little scared, wondering if this is ever going to end or if you could ever leave your house, fear not, because Jesus' peace be upon you. Now, there's something interesting that happens there. Jesus actually breathes on them and gives them the power of the Holy Spirit. Man, that's what we're rocking today. We're rocking boldness because of the power of the Holy Spirit. See, Jesus actually proves in this story that he hears those who follow him. Thomas was doubtful. He was raw. He was devoted. He had great courage, but he also said, I won't believe unless. And Jesus heard that. So Jesus shows up and he simply says, peace be with you. My friends, do not be unbelieving, but believing. Believe that there's going to be an end to this. Pray every night at 7 o'clock to 7:01 for an end to this virus. Do not be an unbeliever, but be a believer. So as we finish up our day today, my friends, don't make decisions based upon fear. Trust in the power of the Holy Spirit to give you the might that you need. That God is indeed sending you out in a time such as this to be the light to a world that needs answers. Before you post something on social media, before you make a comment on social media, just remember, is this reflecting the peace of Jesus that is upon you? I pray that, I declare that over you and your household today. Would you be well, and would you love one another?